Hey guys, thank you for being here at All Access Live with Kevin Rankin. I would love it if you do me a favor. Go to this link below, go to youtube.com/@accesskevin. And if you've not already done so, I would love it if you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you like and then hit the little bell to be notified about upcoming guests. I've got some good ones coming up. This week on Wednesday at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, I have Annabella Lewin. You know her from her hit songs, I Want Candy, and she's from Bow Wow Wow, of course. So she's on Wednesday. Next week, I've got Rain Maida from Our Lady Peace will be joining me. Lots of great guests. You'll be notified about all of them if you hit the bell. Also, you can choose to become a member of this channel, and members get exclusive access to certain episodes that are not privy to the public. So I've got episodes from Kelly Keegi at his house, Kelly from Night Ranger, singer of Sister Christian. We're hanging at his house, checking out his platinum records and looking at his drum kit. Ginger Lynn, adult video superstar, Cy Kernan from The Fix, Mid-Year from Ultravox. Lots of great guests that are only for members. So you can become a member, but if nothing else, please subscribe. Also, amazing guitar shop. 5 Star Guitars is based in Beaverton, Oregon. And if you didn't know, Oregon has no sales tax. So if you're outside the area and you want to play guitar or get accessories or even take lessons, go to 5starguitars.com. When you're checking out, make sure you use the promo code below of All Access Live, and you're going to save 15% off everything you see. So not only you pay no sales tax, but you're going to save a bunch of money just by being a viewer of this show. So, speaking of guitar, man, if you have been under a rock and didn't know, Schecter Guitars is one of the most amazing guitar companies in the world. And I just happen to have not only the CEO of that company, but the founder and sort of creator of Beauty and Chaos, an amazing musical project. So, Michael Ciravolo, how you doing, my friend?
Good to see you. Hey, man, how you doing? Thank you for having me on. That's quite the intro.
Yeah, man. We've known each other for quite a while. We were talking about it just before we went live. We've hung backstage, you and your bride Tish, doing some Gene Loves Jezebel gigs, and I was with Animotion originally, and then Flock of Seagulls. We've done some gigs together, and got some mutual bandmates that have shared the stage together as well, and of course, Schecter and artist endorsers as well. So
that would be Pondo.
That's Pondo. Okay, so check this out. When I booked this show to have you on, I let Pondo know, and I said, "Hey, you have anything you want to, share memories of MC?" Because when we're on the road, not only does he rave about Schecter and he raves about you and your friendship, but he said that you have an affinity for red wine, apparently. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think I ruined his white furry guitar strap.
Was that on purpose because he was wearing a white furry strap?
I didn't go to ruin it, but yeah, it stained it.
Well, he's got plenty of bling. I'm sure he can.
Handle
another one. But he's always got a plethora of Schecter guitars, and one might not realize that you can tell which ones are Pondo, even though they are the Cure signature model. You can always tell which ones are his. Why?
His giant P on it. And
he's painted his name across them, all Pondo in big letters. So if you don't see his guitar, then you see all the clothing that he wears that has Pondo on it. Yeah. Anyway, I love playing with the guy. He is
fantastic bass player and great guy.
Amazing. Besides that, there have been other co-conspirators, some friends of mine that have been part of your Beauty and Chaos project, which we're going to talk about a bunch. When I announced this show, Julian Shaw Taylor and Brent Meyer were saying, and Jafet Lozano, I mean, a whole bunch of fans of yours, right? They've all said the most generous, humble, down-to-earth, kind man they know. So all of those things seem to be polar opposites from what normally go along with this music industry. So either you've got people fooled or you are a genuinely awesome dude, man. So kudos to you for having that reputation.
Well, you just got to try to be who you are and not get sucked into the bullshit that comes with this.
Yeah.
Because it sure does.
Yeah. Well, it could. I mean, if you found a way to manage that, I'm sure that's why, business has been successful for you. A great friend of mine is a fan of your guitars and didn't know you personally, but my friend Brandon Cook plays with Black and Blue, plays some Portland bands up here. when he saw that I was doing the show, he's trying to figure out how you can manage to effectively run one of the biggest guitar companies in the world and still manage Beauty and Chaos Project, pull off live gigs, and manage a family and relationship. So maybe you can touch on that a little bit about how you juggle all those things.
I think doing this Beauty and Chaos project, it's like doing the guitar business. It's a great day job, and it's not what I wanted to be in the beginning. You want to be the kid, you want to be the guy on stage and
Yeah.
everything. I've got to do quite a bit of that. Certainly not to the extent of going, oh, I'm gonna make a living at it, or I can feed my family or any of that. But it becomes, there's been points in it that the guitar, the instrument, I mean, I love the idea of designing guitars and everything that goes with that, but at points doing this, it's become like a widget. There's been little moments that it's like when you I don't know, and the idea of Beauty and Chaos has breathed this like breath of fresh air into it that it kind of jolted me and reminded me why I did this in the first place, and that's been a joy. And my family's supportive. I spend a lot of time. Like there's times I'm at Schecter and leave at 5, and the studio is in one of our buildings over there. So
Oh, cool.
I'll walk out the door, walk across the parking lot into our Saint in LA studios, and then I'm there to midnight, 1:30 in the morning. So it's got its ups and downs, but as long as I enjoy doing it, I think that's what matters. It's not it's not for money or for fame. It's for the pure joy, and I think that's really helped kind of keep me focused. And whenever I'm have any doubt, I just kind of go, what my parents do, and try to
Oh,
follow that compass. And
yeah.
it usually doesn't lead me wrong.
Were they musical?
No,
Okay. Wait.
we're not. I came along late in life. I mean, my mom was in. They were both in their 40s when when I was born. My
Wow.
my brother is 80, 82 now. It
Wow.
was 20 something years between me and my brother. But
No
no,
way.
they were just supportive and just great people. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people not blessed with wonderful parents. I was.
Yeah. Man, like you, I mean, my dad was a musician though, but my folks were. I think of the feeling that music, if it was consuming me, and they knew where I was at, then music was kind of the thing that was the guiding light, that was keeping me out of trouble, right? So,
Yeah.
were you playing quite a bit when you were growing up and living in the house? And
Yeah. I mean, I think I played my first show like in a club in New Orleans at 17,
okay, yeah,
probably. I mean, we used to rehearse I think I started with guitar at 14, and we used to have a little tiny cement basement under our house. And uh, we didn't even have a bass player. Me and two of my friends I grew up with, uh, we just rehearsed down there. And I could just imagine we had one amplifier that had two guitars and the microphone going into it. And I have no idea how bad it sounded upstairs. My mom was just, like, we're having fun, and they were always supportive.
who were you into then musically?
At that I started really. It was T-Rex, it was Bowie, it was New York Dolls, it was Alice Cooper. Then it went to Kiss. It was just kind of the more theatrical stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't really appreciate. The other kids were like Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Yes, and that stuff just went over my head.
sure.
Couldn't play it, but I could play Johnny Thunders.
Yeah,
Just kind of migrated to that. And I mean, later, now I look at Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and go, they're amazing.
sure.
Then, have a kid knowing how to play 3 bar chords. You're not going to cut it with that. But,
Right.
girls seem to like it because it's, guy hangs the guitar low, and it's like,
Right.
I don't want to play football anymore.
Yeah, man. Well,
I'm going to do this.
we're gonna get into the football thing because you're a New Orleans guy. So you can probably see right up there. I'm a 23-year now season ticket holder for the Seahawks. So
Uh,
we got some NFC we can talk about, but in a moment we'll talk
yeah,
about.
there's a couple of those games I'd rather not remember.
Oh, no, we could talk Beastquake if you want. It's cool, man. But I'm actually a big Saints fan too, and I'm guessing I know you are, man. I've seen some of your posts and like
Yeah, the fleur de lis everywhere. I did bring that into Schecter. Most of the headstocks have that on it, and it's it's different. Coming from a smaller town, it's kind of you're born with it, and
yeah.
yeah.
Man, I was just thinking about some of those bands you were talking about. So the more you talked about theatrical, some might call it like the early glam days, right? I mean, you
Yeah,
talked about
yeah.
the Dolls and T-Rex, and I I grew up in a really sort of like stale cowboy town in Montana, but I was totally into those bands, right? So when everybody else was into the more like, traditional bands, that was the stuff that I was all into too. I had my hair up big, and it was, I got in a lot of fights, right? Because
Oh
I
yeah,
was, I was,
definitely that.
I was,
And
I
called many things, going to
sure.
school with eyeliner on and stuff. But
You
yeah,
ever, you ever talk to those people now? Those people that you grew up with?
I've seen some of them when I go back, and now it's like, suddenly I'm cool to it. And most of those guys,
Yeah.
have lost all their hair and
Right.
divorced 3 times, and
Right.
but it was those late night TV shows that were the real eye opener. There was no MTV. It was like Midnight Special, Don
Yeah.
Kirshner's rock concert, and
Right.
kind of just stumbling. I remember seeing T-Rex come on that. And I remember seeing Kiss like the first time, had no idea. And pretty much as a kid, a couple of days later, I'd get on my bike, pedal down like 4 blocks to this place called Pied Piper Records and thumb through it and come home with an album. And that's just kind of the spark. And I really don't remember music not being a part.
Really? Yeah. Were you taking lessons?
I took 2 lessons.
Okay. Yeah. That's all you needed.
The guy was trying to show me ZZ Top and blues scales, and it just never stuck to me. And I think like the guitar players I grew up trying to emulate, or you listen and try to play like, I think it maybe stunted me. I'm sure I'd be a more technical player if I would have sat down and learned Zeppelin, or learned Pink Floyd, or Hendrix, or stuff that most guitar players will just migrate to, or the
Right.
gymnastic stuff. But I never did that. But I like to think that maybe that helped me develop a style by
Yeah.
not knowing. Sometimes too much knowledge is a bad thing.
Sure.
You play technical, but you don't play from the heart. And
Uh,
you know that's what I tell myself when I go, fuck, I wish I wish I could play that. I wish I can do that. But you know
well,
I've done all right.
yeah, you have, man. It's funny that you mentioned that part, that the technical elements could potentially be a disservice. Right now, I mean, so many people are learning from YouTube,
Oh,
drums
yeah.
especially, right? So you've got these guys that are Olympic level drummers, right? They just got blast beats and crazy speed, and they do these, gymnastic things on their drums. And to play pocket, it would be, it's so unnatural to them. And so you think, because I've got a kid who's 26 now, amazing drummer, but he was watching all those videos and the guys that were playing like that. I said, it's going to be really rare for guys like that to be playing gigs with any longevity. Like 50 years from now, those guys aren't going to be playing clubs because nobody wants to have a guy that's playing like that. But it's great if you got the facilities and the fundamental skill underneath it, but to harness that and to play with feel, is
Yeah,
that's
I
key.
think feel. I don't know if you learn that. I like to think feel like New Orleans has a thing. You
Yeah,
can walk down, and I didn't realize it when I lived there. I think most people want to, wherever you're from, you want to leave. And to me, it was like, I
yeah,
want New York. To me, felt like, oh well, fuck, we'll go up there, and it's like, people like the Ramones and the Dolls and the Heartbreakers, and like that's the scene.
yeah,
And I didn't feel that New Orleans was that. And by a coin flip, we end up moving to Los Angeles over New York. But going back now to New Orleans, I kind of, as you get older, I start appreciating there's nothing. The architecture, there's nothing like that. The
Man, great.
music, you could walk down the street and see a little 8-year-old kid beating on a bucket,
Yeah.
and just like, wow, this kid has feel.
Yeah.
It's like there's something about that city, and I really hope that's something I carried with me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still my hometown. I've lived in California way longer than I ever thought I would, but it's not home to me. It's a place that I live, and I guess if it wasn't the Schecter thing, I probably wouldn't be living here. But
Sure.
it is now, and it's been good to me. And but yeah, New Orleans still home.
That's I love that city, and I think the first time I got to spend some time there was the year before the hurricane,
Yeah.
and then going back and seeing, changes. I mean, for me to see the resilience of those people, that is the heart of New Orleans, right? I mean, to see how they rebuilt from the time that the hurricane hit and where all those parishes came together, right? And like all the people wanted to rebuild
Oh
and
yeah.
and keep the culture of the city, right? They
Yeah.
didn't like take the devastation and then build up like strip malls, and they actually kept so much of the heart and feel there, which I loved. But how often do you go back?
I honestly was just back.
Okay.
I don't go back as often because I don't have a lot of family left there. But I the first band I played in was a like out live was a sort of a punk class. It's like Clash, Heartbreakers type band. We're called the Contenders, and it's the first time I was in a recording studio, and so the one band from that scene that left New Orleans and got a record deal and had a video on MTV was the Red Rockers. They had the song China, and they were always friends of ours. And they were doing a reunion show and was going to play the entire Good as Gold record at Tipitina's. And they asked if the Contenders would reform to do the show. It's kind of like bands reunited. And I got
Right.
a phone call, and it's like, I felt good about it because I'd been playing and everything, but I hadn't really played with those guys in 40 something years. And I went back, we rehearsed 3 times. I wish it would have been tighter, but it was great seeing Tish and I's kids there. Nicole and Sophia were there screaming and having fun. And so, yeah, it was just 3 weeks ago. But New Orleans will find a reason to party
Yeah.
anything. They second line if somebody passes away. It's a celebration of life more than a depressing thing. I mean,
Right.
that is something about that city they will find. And yeah, they did rebuild. I don't know if California's going to do that after fires. I think you're going to see strip malls, multi-use functions, and just kind of taking the heart out of some of these old neighborhoods. That
Sure.
that wouldn't happen in New Orleans. They would,
Yeah,
it's the people. It's the people that make that city.
it's true. Yeah. Man, so you just mentioned Tish and the kids. So were you guys together in New Orleans when you migrated out to Cali then for Schecter?
Oh no, I met my wife out here.
You
She
did?
was
Okay.
she was playing in a heavy metal band, all girl heavy metal band,
Really?
and I was I was in human drama at the time, and we were trench coat, big hair, real dark,
Bigger
smoking,
hair.
bigger hair,
Yeah.
smoking stage, the full on dark wave thing, and a girl that was a backup singer that we knew took me to the show. Like, oh, let's go. We went a couple of people, and that's where I met Tish, who became my wife. So now
Okay.
she's California, and my kids were born here. But I won't hold that against them.
Yeah. Well, man, not a lot of people are from Cali, right? So you can.
No, I think that's the part that I still wrestle with. It's always it feels that people are here to do something. I mean, I guess that's what we came out here for. We came out
Sure.
here to get a record deal, but I think we brought our New Orleans feel and hopefully just being genuine. But
Yeah.
it's people out here always seem to want something from you, or what can you do? And I've seen so many people like when you can't give them something anymore. Yeah, it's and that's not New Orleans, but
Yeah.
that is Los Angeles for sure.
Okay. So you bring up a point, man. Tell me about your day to day at Schecter, then what is your do you have any A&R responsibilities, or are you
I
primarily?
No, I mean, Schechter's a big, small company. We have 55 people that work there. Setup, shipping, sales, the full a media department. I I keep my hands in everything,
Okay.
because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think, oh, you just sit around and play guitar all day.
Right.
It is still a business, and I I mean I have a lot of people there that work that I consider friends and have worked there for 15, 20 years that I feel responsible for them and their family to try to guide this and at least make more right decisions than I make wrong to keep it viable. And but no, I deal with artists. It's kind of helped with how I became friends with the guys in The Cure and Cheap Trick and Avenged Sevenfold and Zach. Some of those people that have been part of Beauty and Chaos, and it's not. I think they enjoy being with Schecter over a bigger company because a lot of people from myself on down actually are musicians.
Yeah.
So it's like they come in my office and there's guitars and pedals everywhere. There's Saints stuff all over the wall. I have a big case that's got footballs and LSU Tiger stuff, and it's I don't know. It to me, I think it'd be how I would like to want to walk in and go, I feel comfortable here. These guys are cool. It's not just a business to them. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I work. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was gonna ask you about. I mean, your day to day, because you talked about the California mentality and in the business. So I'm guessing that a lot of musicians are going to be watching this podcast. And you and I both know, as far as artist representation in companies and corporations, it's about relationships. I mean, that is the key thing, right? And so there's a synergy between the artist and the company that has to happen. And it's when artists are younger and they are excited about having like endorsement deals, they think that that's like free gear. They just think, I'm going to be in a band and I'm going to get free gear. And they don't think about their responsibility as a marketing and a spokesperson for those companies. And I've had other companies on talk about that, right? That there's a relationship, man.
Yeah, I think we have bands that have been with us a really long time, like Papa Roach. Jerry Horton has played our stuff since Last Resort. And when was that? 2000. I think we're doing a 20 or 25th year anniversary
Yeah.
with
25 years. Yeah.
yeah. So that's I love that. I mean,
Yeah.
Danford Disturbed has been with us a long time. I mean, The Cure, Robert and Simon have played our stuff since the mid 2000s, and
Right.
the guys in Avenged Sevenfold, Zachy and Sin and Johnny have been with us a really long time. I mean, you do find those guys that you go, oh, this guy's gonna. You can tell he's had 8 endorsement deals already, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'll go, I don't think we should do this. This guy jumps yearly, and I don't know that it is a different world now. I mean, we do endorse guys that are YouTube
Yeah.
people, you know.
Because they're eyeballs. I mean, it's a selling point for sure. You
It's
bet.
it's it's different. It took me a while to get used to it, but there's a fantastic guitar player that kind of was one of the beginnings of the YouTube world, Keith Merrow. And
Okay.
Keith writes these heavy, dark, dissonant riffs, but he started on YouTube, and it's different, just to think of it in that context. But I mean, there's not a lot of difference in guitars, I mean, peeking behind the curtain, I think we have good designs and things like that, but a lot of people make great stuff. It is the support you're going to get, but it is a two-way street,
Yeah.
and it's easier now because you're posting and all that shit that comes with it. But
Yeah.
it
Well,
I go ahead.
I was just thinking about the relationship part, because, well, and the variation of artists that you've been working with. So outside of Schecter, those partnerships, you said those relationships came to you, the Robin Zanders of the world, and like
I mean,
Ben Sevenfold. These guys have been Beauty and Chaos partners
it
now with you, right?
it's been I think you do become friends with them. I don't go that. I don't think that I'll use Simon from The Cure. He didn't play on a song because we endorse him.
Yeah.
Simon's not gonna one, he doesn't need free bases, and
Right.
two, he's not gonna play on something that he doesn't like, you know. But it certainly has opened the door for me to I wouldn't be friends with Zach Wild if it wasn't for this, but
Right.
Zach and I are friends. It isn't, about the guitar part, but I'm certainly blessed that this has opened the door for me to do it. And maybe I wouldn't have done Beauty and Chaos if it wasn't when I started going, hey, I think I can ask some people, and if a couple of them say yes, this thing could roll, and it did. But I think just quickly on Schecter, I think we there's a diversity in our roster. Whereas a lot of people think we're you're just a hard rock thing or a metal thing or whatever. But I mean, we endorse the Neville Brothers. We endorse Tori and Freeze from Morris Day and the Time.
Wow.
I mean, you go and then we do a signature model with a Both. So
Wow.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you can get a wider swatch, and then in between, Cheap Trick, The Cure, The Mission, uh,
Yeah.
bands like Papa Roach, and then we do guys that play in Jelly Roll. We do. I mean, it's pretty across the board.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the way the Beauty and Chaos stuff is, I mean, really, I mean, when I told you I asked Brent Meyer about his relationship with the songs and the remix, he had mentioned that your musical, I'm going to quote him. He says, his musical tastes run close to my own with some surprising influences that aren't readily apparent in the Beauty and Chaos records. I like the framework they've established as sort of a catch-all project that they can group all the collabs from various genres together. It gives them a fun playground to do things different under one roof. So I like that synopsis,
Yeah,
man.
I'm gonna steal that. You hear
Yeah.
that, Brent?
Yeah,
I
I'll text it to you.
I think it is when I look back, especially at that first record, it is and I mean this because I am a fan of Beauty and Chaos. I can step back and look at it from a above view, going, I love the singers, I love everybody that's been part of it, and all I am is maybe the ringleader that brings all the monkeys together, you know. But when I look at that, especially the first record, going, that's a lot of people you wouldn't normally think could work on a record,
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
Robin Zander and Ice T,
Right. No kidding.
Michael Anthony and Michael Aston.
Right.
So I don't know if they would be sitting at a dinner table or sitting at a bar all hanging out together. But I think it. In fact, I know we made it work. It to me, it doesn't sound like it's just a compilation. Here's a bunch of songs with a bunch of singers,
Yeah.
and I think maybe it's just the common thread through it is what me and my partner in this, Michael Rozon, I think that's the common thread, and I think it evokes an emotion or something that brings, I think, really great stuff from the singers. I I think we've had 26 singers that have been featured on Beauty and Chaos so far across the studio albums, and I think I lost count when I started going. People that have played on stuff, whether it's extra bass players, the remixes and everything. It was over 60 people that are part of this, and
Wow. Oh my god. Wow. That you mentioned a couple of those names. I was just thinking about the Michael Anthony stuff. Michael Anthony and Michael Aston. So, well, Michael Aston, you've been part of Gene Loves Jezebel for quite some time. You did work with both brothers, right? The two
yes,
twin brothers over the course of their career.
that's how I got into it. When I was with Human Drama. I think Michael was on Triple X, and he was his solo record. We were doing a Human Drama live record at the Troubadour, and Michael Aston opened the show. And my wife, who I guess she would have been my wife at that point, or right before we were married, knew him, and also another girl. that used to book a club and introduced us. And he said he and his brother, you know, I was a fan of Jezebel. I had
Yeah.
Immigrant and Promise, and I thought those were interesting records. I really enjoyed the Ian, I forget his last name, but the guitar player in those first couple of records I thought was really simple but played the right part. And he said he and his brother were going to do a tour, the Pre-Raphaelite Brothers tour or something. And I kind of became the de facto musical director and pulled together a drummer, Pete Parada, who went on to be in The Offspring,
Nice.
and Slobo, who maybe you've met before.
Yeah, for sure.
Slobo was in it back then. And
Wow.
yeah, the two brothers, we probably did 25 30 shows together
Okay.
across the country. Sometimes way longer drives in between the show
Yeah.
than I think should have been. But yeah,
That's
it
so
was
fast.
interesting. You know, I saw the same issues arise and it kind of unravel. And then I end up sticking with Michael and I did two records, Love Lies Bleeding and Exploding Girls with him.
Okay. Right on. And then you had him singing on Beauty and Chaos. I know our buddy Pondo, we talked about that. He mentioned playing on the first Beauty and Chaos record. I think you've got Dirk playing drums, right, with Beauty and
Yeah,
Chaos.
Dirk's
Yeah.
has played drums on most of the stuff.
I,
Michael Rozon, my partner, is a fantastic drummer, and sometimes him, you know, because he does produce it and he's behind the board and miking it, and I mean, God bless him, he's got way more patience than I do, and he allows me to just play and not have to do all the the Pro Tools and editing and stuff. But he works together real well with Dirk, and you know, but yeah, Dirk has probably played on, I don't know, 70% of the
right
stuff.
on. Great dude, man, too. A
Yeah.
great drummer, and I love that guy. But there is a community, right? I mean, from that
Yeah,
circle,
it's
it's family stuff. It feels
it's a I do refer to it as the big family, and it is. And as other people, I look at journalists, I look at people that have kind of supported this in the beginning, like being a big part of this. It is a community. It's not, you know, people do check their egos at the door, and I've been blessed that, you know, very few people that I've asked have declined, and I've also hasn't ever received anything that I go, I don't know what to do here. How do I tell this person I don't
yeah.
like what it's just it I don't know, it's luck, it's divine intervention, it's maybe some intuition, probably more divine intervention than anything, but
Yeah,
it
you mentioned luck. I talk about that on this show a lot.
it,
I think
it
luck
is.
infers that well, but luck would infer that you didn't have anything to do with it or you didn't deserve it. You've arranged a community that is sort of structured that way that would be conducive to a simpatico, right?
I mean, yeah, um, it was something that for something that started for a fleeting second is going to be my solo record, you know, which thank God it wasn't that. We were doing a human drama record, and I wanted it to be a little more a throwback to our 80s stuff. And it kind of wasn't turning out that way, even though I probably bucked and complained while doing that record. Broken Songs for Broken People, I did stretch out as a player and get better from doing that record. But the backlash I gave myself made Michael Rozon go, "You should do your own record." And then
Mm.
you go, "Yeah, I'll do my own record." Then you go, "What did I just say? How is that going to happen? I'm not a singer. I'm not a guitar player that someone's going to want to hear a Steve Vai instrumental thing. Uh,
Right.
you know, we're taking off 30 seconds into it. Uh, but somehow we started it, and the first two singers to come in the studio at that point were Al Jorgensen. We did 20th Century Boy, and Robin Zander came in and did Drifting,
Amazing.
and then Rozon. I think at that point we both knew that we could maybe make this work. Uh,
Okay,
and
let me ask you about that. Were you already working with Robin and Al with Schecter?
yes,
Okay.
I knew Al was a Schecter artist, and Robin was, and I was probably more friendly and knew Robin more. and we had gone to a bunch of shows, and I just took the shot at asking him. It was a
Yeah.
song that had some words for it, but the guy worked really hard on it while on the road. He happened to be in Los Angeles, and then he came to the studio. And I mean, there's a lot of these surreal moments in Beauty and Chaos that I just slap myself and go, did that happen? But jumping back to being a kid that had, Live at Budokan and Dream Police and In Color, then have Robin sitting on our little couch in the studio holding the lyrics going, listen to it. What do you think of that line? Should I use that? And part of me's as the kid going, fuck, how's this? How is this?
Yeah, man. I
But
was wondering if that was a pinch me moment for
yeah,
sure.
there's been quite a few of those, and
Yeah.
I think that's the purity of this,
Yeah.
that I can go, wow, that's a pinch me moment. I'm not name dropping. I mean, you can look
No.
at the records, but I mean, most of the people that have been part of this are make up my record collection,
Right.
and it's led me uh, to some pretty great friendships. Ashton Knight has become a very dear friend. Wayne from the Mission has become a very dear friend. Johnny, one of my probably my best friend from Human Drama, has
Yeah.
been on songs, and it's just they've everybody's kind of introduced me to other people. Like forget maybe Mark Thwaite introduced me to Ashton, but he also introduced me to Julian, and Julian brought Leo in, and then who did a fantastic Echoes and Angels is, I mean,
Unreal,
that
dude. He
that
kills
guy's
that.
got an amazing range,
He
and
really does.
it's
Yeah.
such a standout song because he's kind of wrapped between, Ashton and Wayne and Julian have these big booming baritone voice,
Yeah.
and there's Leo with this kind of range like placebo and just crazy. And it fits so well in that. And then, of course, they introduced me to Brent, and he did a great remix. And it just kind of, I don't know. When I say it just happens, God's honest truth. It just seems to happen. And
Guys, if you're watching this and you recognize some of these names, the people he's talking about, Julian Shaw Taylor, Brent Meyer, Leo Lugansky, all these guys are prominent members of this incredible Depeche Mode tribute that's out, Strangelove. I've had a couple of the guys on the show so far. We did a ton of touring with them the last 2 years. And on the road, I got to recognize not only are they really talented and just being so focused on bringing the most, I think, authentic version of those songs and the music of Depeche Mode to people, but individually, they're so flippin' talented. Like,
yeah,
they got
there.
crazy talented. Like, Brent he's an opera singer, and, like, nobody would even know that from seeing them do the Depeche stuff, and Leo can do screamo metal. He can do,
Yeah.
like emotionally driven, just kind of, sort of alt rock, and Julian, of course, he's got the Bowie vibe, but he also has a really wide range of unique talent too. So taking people like that, and then on the other spectrum, you got like you talking about Robin Zander, classic artists that are in people's record collections.
Yeah.
But like Michael Anthony, like how did that thing come about?
Michael, I knew him through Schecter, and we
Okay.
became friends there. And it, it, it seemed like I would have thought that I know when Robin did the stuff, I went, wow, we could really use like some backup stuff on the chorus. And Robin's like, well, why don't you guys sing? And it's just kind of, and then I just thought Michael Anthony, and I would have thought that Robin and Michael had been on something together. I know they've probably been Van Halen Cheap Trick shows. I mean, Cheap Trick has played with everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, but I asked Michael if he would come in and do some backups, and he came in and he just said he did it just like he did in Van Halen. He goes, "Give me 3 tracks," and he did that. And he goes, "That's how Ted Templeman did it. Just stack those, and you bring that up, and it's like, yeah, that's that sound of that first record. I mean, the guy's got, I mean, he's got that kind of that voice that just sits in there. And it was great. It was kind of fun piecing together a couple of people like that that had never played before. Like I thought the same thing with uh, Simon and Wayne from the Mission. Like
Right.
they're both British, and they certainly grew up and knew each other. But they both went. Simon's like, Wayne's one of my favorite singers, probably even more favorite than Robert. And he goes, but I've never played with him. We talked about it, and then he added the bass, and it was. I don't know. I felt like I was piecing together these people that should have been on something together that were finally on it. And yeah, those are some of those surreal moments.
Right. One of the other artists that you had in your list too that is it's a musician's musician. The band itself is the most underrated band I think in rock and roll.
You're
King
gonna say
Sept,
Doug Pinnick.
Doug Pinnick, man. Yep, that's it, right? I mean, the dude played Woodstock, the Woodstock '99, right, and just crushed it on that. Every musician on the planet
Yeah.
knows King's X and obsesses about him. And Doug is, from my perspective, he's like a gospel singer. When you see him, he's this incredible.
Well, he grew up with that.
Yeah,
I got
right. His
to know
family,
him
yeah,
a lot, and really sweet man. And yeah, it was a blast doing that with him. I, talking to him more, he kind of grew up in Texas, so he felt the the hurricane thing from Harvey, and I had the New Orleans connection, growing up there with Katrina. And when we did Unnatural Disaster, that's where he took the lyrics to that. And yeah, we did a video of that. And so I went, okay, well, I found a rain room. So we go into the rain room, and Doug's probably 15 years older than me,
yeah.
and takes off his shirt, and the water's got a six pack.
Oh, I
And I'm
know.
like, oh no, I'm not going to match that. But
Right.
yeah, he was just fantastic. He sings so soulful. And when we were talking, when Michael and I were actually have started a new record, or just starting putting to get writing music to see what's going to be next. And uh, kind of the last record, I liked the idea that we went back and had a couple of alumni on it. We had Kat from Holy Wars, Ashton, Wayne. They all had been on records before. Then we had Julian, Leo, Patrick Mata from Community FK. We had some new people. So when we're kind of talking about people we'd like to bring back again, Doug certainly is one of them. And
Hell
I
yeah.
hope he'll do it.
God, man, that's a band, right, that has, I mean, they are a little bit older, and they've endured so much medical stuff, and they
Yeah.
just power on. It's incredible. I mean, Jerry Gaskill, our drummer, right, like, just amazing heart problems, but still powered on, and they're out doing as many shows as they possibly can. I um, I think it's heroic, to see bands like that, and to see you assemble these guys that, in terms of like looking at the roster. I was just looking through this other list too. You mentioned Simon, Al Jorgensen, Ice T, like the Ice T connection. That one was a surprise to me, right? Like, where did that piece come from?
I when we did those Jezebel rehearsals, Pete and Vince, who's the bass player in Body Count, both worked at Bill's Place rehearsal studio, and
Okay.
that's where we did all those Jezebel rehearsals, and I rehearsed there a bunch after. So Vince has always been in Body Count. So when we did this song, Unnatural Disaster, it had this middle section, and I was kind of like, Michael and I were going, we need something here. And I'm going, well, maybe somebody that can rap or just do something that had this kind of spoken thing. And I thought for a second, maybe seeing if Jacoby from Papa Roach could do it, but they
Yeah.
weren't tour. And I text Vince, I'm going, do you think Ice would do this? He said, yeah, let me ask him. And he wrote back, he said he's in. And we sent him his stuff. It took a little bit to get it back, but I remember getting a phone call from Vince going, hey, we're in the studio. Ice is doing it, and send me this little picture of him, a little short movie of him singing it. And yeah,
You-
I didn't meet Ice until later, like one of the Schecter NAMM parties that we
okay.
had Body Count play, but the guy stepped up and just did something very cool. And I think it makes that section really different.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the NAM thing, and so one of the other sort of points that I was thinking about when you talked about the California mentality, where people are always wanting something from you. Um, NAM is. and for people that don't know, it's the National Association of Music Merchants, right? That's the acronym. It's like the biggest gathering of all the manufacturers and distributors get together with the artists that represent those products. And at one point, it was pretty much like the biggest rock and roll party of all time for many, many years in Anaheim, right? And it's changed a little bit, but how has it been different for Schecter and for you the last maybe 5, 6
Well,
years?
when we used to, it was a massive expense for us to do. We used to do, you get sucked into doing these big things. We had the booth girls, and you kind of buy into that whole thing because I used to go to NAM before I had anything to do with Schecter.
Yeah.
When we started doing it, there were those, like, most of the parties after were just jams. People would get up on stage and do these 12-bar blues things. And when we started talking about doing our parties, which we started at doing at the House of Blues, then moved to the Grove, we went, screw this, we're gonna make this like a concert. And we've had some great bands. I mean, we got Typo Negative to play one of our parties.
Wow.
We've had the Addicts, we've had the Neville Brothers, we've had Cheap Trick, we've had In This Moment, Body Count, we've had Zach do Zach Sabbath and Black Label Society. We've had Seether, we've had Filter. I mean, we've had a lot of it. We kind of changed, I think, the culture of NAMM to where it was a party. And I mean, we had Jägermeister and Colcock and sponsored. So it got to the point where I felt it was my responsibility to get like 2,000 people drunk,
Yeah.
which, and then we stopped. We haven't been back to NAMM for like 4 years now. It just
Okay.
became, I don't know, it became kind of antiquated. Like every dealer that, has already seen our stuff and already ordered it. And it's just different. It just became, it's, going there, kind of spending the time and money to have, hey, I have a YouTube channel and I have, 60,000 followers. I want to play your stuff.
Right.
It just, I don't know, it became not fun anymore. We would do these autograph signings and kind of shut down our booth to have Nikki Sixx sign and have people just in line with stacks of Motley Crue records to have autographed. I'm going, this isn't really anything to do with business, what this show was supposed to be. So yeah, we
Yeah.
just stopped it. But yeah, it's still going. I went this year. Next
It
year is Schecter's 50th anniversary. So we're kicking around something that we should do something. I don't know quite what that something will be. Maybe Beauty and Chaos will play a show.
Hell, I was gonna ask you, man, you've got so many guys in this roster. So would you bring in some of these guest artists that have actually done the recordings?
I mean, I never thought of Beauty and Chaos as a live entity.
Sure.
Uh, I think about it now more after we did it, and especially as we have 26 singers, because I always felt that, I'd have people go, well, just play the songs and have one person sing it. They go, oh, have Ashton Knight sing. He's a great singer. He can sing them all. And I felt that would be cheapening what we did.
Yeah.
That it is it isn't a song until these singers put their words, because all the singers write their lyrics, they write their melodies.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's all I ever will do is give them a little bit of hey, the name of the record is Finding Beauty in Chaos. What's it mean? Well, to me, my beauty is our kids. I don't give them a lot to go on. Sometimes I'll show them a picture. Uh, you know, I the record Dancing with Angels was going to be called Echoes and Angels. And I kind of told that to Leo because I've always liked the idea of having a title track. I go back to as a kid, everything I think we do in this, I think in uh, thoughts of like an album, like it's vinyl, the running order, the cover, all that is important to me, which probably means little to nothing to most listeners nowadays. You know, uh, and he did the song Echoes and Angels, and then when my friend, a German artist, Maren, painted the cover, it was a dancing angel, and I just kind of flip the title because it seemed to really fit. Like her cover, uh, which I think is back there on the wall, actually
Oh,
tied it together. And but yeah, it's thinking in terms of a 12-inch vinyl is kind of how I have to sit down and do it. The idea of just doing something to do an upload is kind of foreign to me.
sure.
But whereas about that, if we ever would do a live show, it would have to be with the singers. And now that we have more singers, the chance of actually doing a show has increased. Just trying to figure out the the how and where. I know the
Yeah,
why because I want to do it before this ends. But I don't know, something, the idea to me of doing it in Los Angeles with the way I watch crowds here that don't seem to care. It's
right.
more important to be on a guest list and actually, you know, pay attention. I think being that human drama, we play in Mexico City, in Mexico a lot, and the audiences there are just wonderful. They,
Oh,
they watch, they
yeah.
sing, you don't see the iPhones in
Right.
the air. It's
Right.
not
Yeah.
this. Like I don't get that. It's like you at the show. What are you seeing through there? Is it so important to post this? Are you ever going to go back and watch this video later? It,
Right.
but yeah, I think I would have to do it in a place that would appreciate it in the way I would that I would want for everybody that has been part of this. So
The logistics of that, I mean, you mentioned, possibly doing that at NAMM. It brought me back to that documentary on, We Are the World, right? And so did you see that on Netflix that Lionel Richie was the
oh, the greatest night in pop.
that was the one,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Incredible
found that
documentary.
really really interesting.
I It was fascinating, man. For all I mean, for many things, as musicians, we saw it. I watched it and thought, "What a horrible babysitting job you'd have to do, right? With all of those
See,
egos
I
and."
don't I don't think I think everybody that's on this is part. It's not that ego thing.
Yeah,
You're not trying to put together Prince and Michael Jackson and Bruce Springsteen and in that. This is just people that are a part of this are doing. No one makes any money doing this, and no one's doing it for money.
yeah,
So I don't think it would be babysitting. It's to me, I've never played with tracks before, and I would think we'd have to have some of it, and there'd have to be a couple of guitar players and everything. But every singer's a pro, you
yeah,
know. I mean,
right.
there's not no one that's been part of this is going to get up there and go, "Oh, I can't sing that." It I'd want it to be great
Yeah,
because I do listen to Beauty and Chaos very differently than I do. And I don't know how to explain it other than that stepping back and being a fan of what's going on, where the Human Drama records and Jezebel records, I'm proud of them and there's good stuff on it, but I always listen to it like, oh, that guitar, I wish I would have did that louder. That
yeah,
snare, it's like I'm listening to it from the technical point as opposed to just how you would listen to a song that would come on the radio. You just listen to it. Some old Beatles songs aren't recorded great, but that's what they are, and they're
right.
beautiful. Uh, I just seem to listen to Beauty and Chaos as a fan or as a casual listener, as opposed to being part of it. Half the time, I don't even remember what I did. I don't
Yeah,
go, "Oh, that's a great guitar part." I really like to sit there and go, "Wow, that's a beautiful song. It's got beautiful words." I mean, to me, the lyrics are really important, and I've been blessed with some fantastic, not only singers but people that write
mm,
deep. I mean, deep, write lyrics that you listen to and you can kind of interject yourself into them, even if it's not what the singer maybe originally meant.
sure.
I think those are the best songs, the ones you kind of go, "Oh, he means that or she means that." And
Yeah, or
those
can
are the
relate to
songs
that in their own life,
I
right?
think I think those are the songs that live with you,
Yeah,
the longest.
you bet. Who's a pinch me bucket list artist you'd like to get in part of Video and Chaos?
God, this If I had to pick just one that's alive, I think it would be Richard Butler.
Oh, right on. Cool.
I
Yeah.
just I love psychedelic furs. I always thought he doesn't have a wide range. I
Right.
mean, may have one octave on a piano, but
Right.
what he does in that is always moved me. Of course, I'd love to have Robert Smith. At one point, Peter Murphy was going to do something that just didn't pan out.
These are all attainable. I mean, these are not like incredible reaches. Those are all like
I mean,
possibilities.
maybe, but I tell you, it's after that first record, and it was, it started getting this moniker. People or press would start LA-based supergroup, goth supergroup. Right? Part of
Mm.
me was going, if this is the only thing Beauty and Chaos does is hang its hat on the who's who, it's going to be short lived.
Yeah.
It's my Rolodex, if one, dating myself isn't that big, and being that there's not a label behind it and going, oh, we can spend 50 grand on so and so the co-write or promise them something, then of course it's not going to continue like that. But the idea of finding these singers that are not famous, but I think you've been doing this long time too. Fame does not equal talent, and
Totally.
talent does not equal fame.
Yeah.
And to me, the idea of finding these gems is just as rewarding than going, oh, Robert Smith's going to sing a song.
Right.
Would I love to work with Robert? Absolutely. But
Yeah.
the idea of finding a Leo Lugansky is just as rewarding, because I can't imagine, like there was, like I mentioned, there was a song Peter Murphy, I talked to him about doing something in the first record, and I sent it to him. He's like, yeah. And I think Peter had whatever his problems were and had to step away for a bit. And I sent the song to someone else, and I'll just leave it at that, did the most amazing thing to it. So that is what that song is. I don't think I would pick anybody else. It's like that was perfect. So
Yeah.
again, that falls in that things seem to happen for Beauty and Chaos. So yeah, it's finding those. And I always ask people, if you hear something by Beauty and Chaos and go, wow, that's a great song. That singer's fantastic. That girl's got a beautiful voice. That guy's amazing, blah, blah, blah. Go down their discography. They're all amazingly talented and have some great records of their own. And Beauty and Chaos, I think, is a great vehicle to discover some very talented people, and it works both ways.
Sure.
The Mission fan base and Ashton's Awakening fan base and the Human Drama fan base have really embraced what we've done, and vice versa. So it's a great conduit that flows both ways.
That's man, what a real gift. And you talked about the talent, even if it was sort of maybe, artists that are not that well known commercially, but it's also about personalities, because you and I both know, man. I mean, in this business,
Yeah.
you could be in, one of the biggest bands in the world, and if the people that you're playing with are assholes, it just might not be worth it, right? I mean, you need to have a relationship with people that you can respect and admire and hang with, right?
Yeah, and I think I learned that. I mean, I think growing up playing music, I mean, there was always that thing of never meet your idols.
Yeah,
And I've met some people that turned out to be assholes. And it's
sure.
just like, and then as you do this longer and you see behind the curtain, it's like there is no difference between a struggling musician and one that's famous other than getting a break. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
there's some talented singers, and yeah, they're great. You got platinum records, but they're all you have to know that there are a lot of other people that are really great also that just didn't get the break,
Right.
and
Yep.
I think you learn that from seeing behind the curtain. And that's why I think that I do enjoy working with just artists that aren't that. But I mean, don't get a whole lot more famous than Robin Zander. And Robin was just treated Michael and I with the utmost respect. It was like he could have been sitting in there with Michael Rozon being George Martin,
That's
going,
awesome.
"Hey, what do you think?" I mean, it was just, it's mutual respect's been something that's been fantastic with doing this. And there's those surreal moments, like when I told you, like T-Rex was such a big part of me picking up guitar, and then we got to do 20th Century Boy with Mark's son Roland. Uh, I didn't realize at the time, because Wayne didn't write his book, that Wayne from the Mission we kind of had a similar path. He being in the UK when Mark Bolan was everything. He picked up guitar from that, and I told him I was getting to do this. He's like, I have to be on this, and it's like, yeah, absolutely. So
Nice.
he and I played guitar. He got to sing, and he came over to do the video, and we got to do the one of Mark's 20th Century Boy, which I think is one of the all-time greatest rock and roll guitar riffs.
Totally. Love it.
And Roland, it was like we set up the video like we made it like our own little Top of the Pops type thing to make it look like one of those great London, UK, like Jules Holland or Old Grey Whistle Test or something. And then at the end of that, Roland he stopped and he goes, I think my dad would have really loved this. It
Oh,
was just
man.
that
That
I don't know if there was much higher compliment than that.
yeah, man. That's magical.
Yeah, so there's been those moments, and I think that's what keeps me really doing it, and that kind of surprise of taking a piece of music that doesn't have a name, like the music we have right now just have numbers. We have 1, 2, and 3,
Yeah,
and I sent out 2 to a singer, and he's working on it. And when it comes back, it'll have a name, it'll have this, and it'll be, hey man, check your email. You got a WeTransfer. Bing, it'll come through, and that moment of listening to what this piece of music that we created, what it made somebody open their mouth and sing or take pen to paper and write is still really a special moment. That is why I still do this.
I love it. Man, what a great part of your journey. One of the things I love asking, people in the show, um, if you were to look back, say we get to the end of Michael Ciravolo's time, and you want to look back on your life, what is it that you'd like to be remembered for? What's your legacy?
Well, besides hopefully being looked at as a great father and husband, I mean, I was blessed, like I said, with great parents. That to me, that trumps everything. But just being a genuine person, not doing this for the right reason, and not being jaded by the bullshit and the trappings that come for this. And I know it's probably easier to say that we weren't jaded by the trappings, because neither of us got to be, I'm not the Edge and you're not Bono. And
Right.
but I would like to feel that I would be the same person. Uh, I don't want anything from anyone other than, if you say you're going to want to be part of this, that you give it the same thing that we give it, and we do this together, and you feel that person feels like it's their song also. uh, I guess that's it. Just genuine, besides the parent and husband thing,
Yeah.
just being real.
I love it. Authenticity, man. It's rare, as we both know in this business for sure. But what a really fortunate thing that Schecter got to have somebody like you at the helm. It's that you're not the prototypical CEO by any means.
I mean, I'm really blessed. The gentleman, Mr. Hisataki Shibuya, who passed away about 5 months ago now, took a chance on me. I don't have a business background. I did 2 years of college. I was a good student, but was a guitar player. I love tinkering with guitars, and just always loved the instrument for the visual and the expressive nature of it. But the guy took a chance on me, and kind of changed the life, changed my family's life, and changed the life of, let me run this company. He said, run it like it's yours. And you know stuck with me through some mistakes. And yeah, I always forever grateful for him. So even though it wasn't what I wanted to be or thought I was going to be doing, it is certainly, it kept me in it. And it's I've met some really great people doing this, far more wonderful people than assholes,
Ah,
and I've learned not to deal with them. It's just like, you know, life's too short for that. And yeah, so that's how I happened to be in the right place, right time, but also the right man to kind of somehow see something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself.
mm,
And he was all I think he was always really proud of the direction that went.
that's beautiful. If you don't mind me asking, is there a relationship between Schecter guitars and Daisy Rock?
Well, my wife owns Daisy Rock.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
designed it. Our daughter Nicole drew the little daisy and the stick on it like that. And yeah, we did it for a while. It was in the 2000s, and as Schecter was getting bigger, and I think having that thing of, you know, Papa Roach and Disturbed and the Booth Girls and the full like that, then it's like, here's our little girl guitar line. It was a little not the right fit and a little creepy.
Mm,
So she moved it to Alfred Publishing, and
okay.
but we are bringing it back.
Are you?
She's bringing back the heart shaped guitar, the Heartbreaker, and
Yeah.
the thing that we wanted back then. Both girls, Nicole and Sophia, are interested in it now. I think they've seen the kind of hey mom, check out TikTok. These girls are playing it. They're this and that. And I think something 5 years ago they just were like, it's guitars. Uh, they've kind of really, especially our oldest daughter, she's really taken upon herself, and I think she's given herself the COO title. And but it's kind of it's charming and it's heartwarming to see them actually interested in it,
Yeah.
and maybe being kind of spearheading it kind of coming back. I mean, today's a different world. I don't know if you can come out and say girl guitars anymore without offending
Oh,
or
right.
triggering somebody. uh,
Right.
I just don't buy into. But yeah, so that's the
That
tie-in.
I the girl guitarist thing, I don't know, when I first met you, I think at that point was still playing with Jennifer Batten, and, I started playing with her 20 years ago this year in Portland
Oh,
when she moved up here. My first gig was the World Guitar Congress in Baltimore, and, Eric Johnson, John Scofield, Dick Dale, all of those guys were playing, and we were having breakfast with Schofield the next morning, and he was just, picking Jennifer's brain about all the Jeff Beck stuff, right? He just wanted to know everything about Jeff Beck, and it was fun to hear the reverence between those two people. But some dude walks up to Batten, and he's like, "Hey, man, you are an amazing guitarist for a girl." Like there was the pause, and then he just threw it out, and she's like, "You're an sad excuse for a human being." She was so tough, and just I'm like, "You've probably heard that a million times." She said, "Dealt with it since I was a teenager." Yep, and it is sad, right, that it's a male-dominated industry, and rock and roll was a lot, it's a man's game for a long time, but people like Nita Strauss, have gone out there, and, you can mention Alice Cooper, right? Nita went out and really, and Orianthi, right? Those you can be, big, bad, wicked guitarists that can shred with the best of them. Batten, of course, Jeff Beck and Michael Jackson. It's definitely not just a man's world anymore, but it is, you're right. It is unfortunate that people might still have to
Well,
pigeonhole.
I think Tish took a lot of flack when it came out because it's like you do get the 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 female guitar players like, well, I can play a Les Paul. I don't need a guitar that's just made for a girl. But I think what they lost on them, what I think maybe in the beginning the entire industry didn't really get what Tish was doing was that it was getting young girls to play guitar.
Yeah, right. It's
If I
right.
know if when I first started playing, I had a shitty guitar. The strings were this high off the neck. It squealed. It makes you put it down. It's like suddenly it's like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of what she did was attracting girls to young girls to pick up a guitar. I mean, yeah, no one's going to sit there and play a short scale Daisy Rock when they become a stadium band, but
Sure.
she does have a lot of girls telling her, I started playing that because of what you did. And
Right
I
on.
think the whole industry should actually fucking applaud that as opposed
Yeah.
to going, oh, that was just a gimmick. It
Mm,
wasn't a gimmick. It was a concept from someone that was a musician that dealt with going into a music store and kind of, you're a girl. Who you date? Your boyfriend's in a band? You what else? Who you sleep?
right.
All that shit that I'm sure Jennifer Batten dealt with.
Totally.
You know, but it did start something. And the funny thing was like when she first showed the pink guitars at NAMM, it was like people next year Gibson had a pink guitar.
Of
So
course.
suddenly it was like pink was the new black.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
Flat.
I think being a father of two daughters, there's so much shit that I would thankful my kids didn't get into.
Right.
And picking up a guitar would be just wonderful as opposed to doing other things.
Yeah, man.
So,
Yeah. What is
but
what do Michael and Tish Ciravolo get a chance to do to get away from all this, man? Do you get chance to vacation or date nights?
we have an RV, like a motor A class that we enjoy just getting out of Los Angeles in. We both love dogs, and we've recently lost both of our dogs. So
Oh,
we're
right.
we had them for 12 and 14 years. So that's tough. There's
So
definitely a hole,
yeah.
uh, and we're finally starting to talk about filling that again. But yeah, she's part of it. Even though she doesn't play on everything, has sung 2 songs. She's in every video, and you know, uh, I think we still feel we are still part of this, and she's supportive. Not I don't go play poker with the guys. I don't go golf. You know I when I'm not here, I'm in the studio or in here. This little studio's in the house. It used to be Sophia's bedroom. So
Nice. That's awesome. But well, you guys do have a great dynamic, man. I miss seeing you and Tish out on gigs that we would do together because it you have great mutual respect for each other. You can just see, that you work well and you live well together. So it's a nice thing.
it was nice getting, we did one of the last Jezebel shows we did. We got to go to Mexico. Wayne, the Mission were playing there, like doing a couple of shows, and I think the promoter was trying to get Jay's version to play. And
Oh,
he called me, he goes, "Which one of these brothers do you play with?" And I go,
oh,
"It's Michael." He goes, "Okay, hold on." And then he called me back and went, "Yeah, I got him to drop the other band and have you guys play."
oh. Isn't that the craziest thing, man?
Yeah,
Like,
it didn't sit well with Jay. He was pissed about it, and I think James Stevenson, the little guitar player guy, not a good soul.
the little guitar player. That is awesome.
Well,
I
yeah,
the
I can tell you off air why I'm saying that. He
okay.
he, he tried to pull some shit
Ah,
on me, and I had nothing to do with it. It was his two twin singers that was the one pushing him out.
yeah.
But we got the good part is we got to go play in Mexico, and
Yeah.
I always had told her how great the Mexico city people and Guadalajara, just how they just embrace music, and
It's beautiful, man.
and we got to go there, and we did the two shows with the mission there, and it was nice to see her get to play on stage to like that type of crowd, and have
Yeah.
lots of girls come up after the like they hadn't seen a girl play on stage in this type of band, and it was nice to see. But
Heck
yeah,
yeah,
so
man.
that was a good Jezebel moment.
I, hopefully, there are more of those than not.
Yeah, we
You,
had a good time, and I enjoyed making those two records. And
yeah,
I think Rosario was a great song to open that record. Like I do, like I keep saying, I think in terms of vinyl, and to me that was the needle drop song. Like starting that to me sounded like how this record should start, and the way the title track "Finding Beauty in Chaos" ends seem like the perfect bookend, and it's just kind of filling in between.
that's awesome, man. Well, I got to tell you, I having gotten to know a little more about your story. I mean, we'd known each other from a lot of backstage hangs, and I felt like I knew a lot of the MC story from Pondo and all the travels. But it's been fun leading up to this to hear people's experiences, and I think people that I'm playing Schecter that maybe didn't know who was at the helm, they might not realize, that you've really paved a positive way. Hopefully, the industry can kind of follow that suit. We're in a tough time right now. Globally, man, there's a lot of divisiveness, and it seems like you really do push the path towards positivity.
Yeah, I believe. I mean, I believe in what we do at Schecter. I believe in the culture that we've created, the family atmosphere, and I don't push the. I don't use Schecter as a vehicle for beauty and chaos. This is what I do, and I think people will see. 98% of what I play on the records and on stage is Schecter. It's like I love what we make, and I think you'd be a hypocrite not to
Sure.
use. It
Yeah.
and it's fantastic. It affords me having guitars I wouldn't normally have in different tunings, and it makes me still love what I do. There's a
Right.
lot of people that go to their day job and don't like it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
and I'd say a majority of the time I do enjoy it.
We're we're fortunate dudes, you and I
Yeah,
both,
I
man.
mean, I'm not getting up tomorrow morning and getting a pickup truck and go and doing a cleaning pools. And nothing
Yeah.
against somebody that has to clean a pool. Uh,
Right.
I just, I mean, that after wanting to be a musician and going, that's what there is at the end. I've seen guys take it really hard that have tried,
Yeah.
to climb this thing, and not, or just finally tap out. Because, I mean, this business does wear you down.
Sure. You bet.
You
If you
know,
let
it,
it.
it's not, when you see behind the curtain, it's not a great, it's not a great model. But if you can come out of it with your soul and learning to go, as long as I'm happy with what I create, what we've put out, and go, I like that anything else that comes with it is just extra. If you try to be something you're not, it shines through, and at the end of the day, you still have to look in the mirror and
Yeah.
go, is this who I am? And I think I can put every Beauty and Chaos song record on and go, that's, at that point, that's who I was, and that's who we were. And you can hang your hat on that, and ride off into the sunset at that point.
I love it. I love it. Well, man, as a parting message, what do you think the Saints are going to do this year?
I think it's going to be rough.
Yeah,
They've been kicking the rebuild can down the road a while.
us
You
too.
know, I think you were spoiled with the having Russell Wilson when he was at the top of his game, and I sure as shit was spoiled with Drew Brees.
New Breeze, man,
You know,
amazing.
but I just want football to be fun again.
Yeah,
The last couple of years after it seemed like it wasn't fun, and that is my Sunday. And I'm a big LSU fan,
Oh
and
yeah.
so that's my escapism, and I don't want to hear oh, the games are fixed, or this or
Right.
that. The to me, they're ruining college football with the NIL money. Like, people are buying teams and
Right.
players, and have this guy's going to go play for Oregon State, and they're going to give him $5 million. It's
Right.
like, it's supposed to be amateur sports.
Right.
I can go on that. I just want to enjoy that part, because
Sure.
that's something I've done since my dad took me to my first Saints game. And those teams were bad, but there was something again about going to see a game in Tulane Stadium and then later the Superdome, that it
Yeah.
was just fun.
You
And
bet.
I want that again. So I'm hoping that, with some younger players and some things like that, a new younger coach, that it's something different. It's entertaining.
If you get up to Pacific Northwest, man, come up to a Hawk Saints game when they play again. It'd be
I
fun.
I did go up there, and we went. I think Sophia was like, maybe we visited. She was looking at a college up there, and I
Yeah.
had my Saints jacket on and got yelled at a couple of times, but they were polite.
That's good.
It was what the 12th man. It's like,
Yeah. Well, there's a 12.
I've
Hold on.
heard that.
There's a light up 12 right there. I just didn't put the
Yeah,
light on for you out of courtesy tonight. I
I'm
kept the
sorry.
purple.
You go in the Superdome, it gets loud in there too.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see a game in New Orleans, man. There's a documentary, but that Steve Gleason documentary was incredible, man. And uh, unfortunately, like at that same point, like my best friend's diagnosed with ALS, and for me, it was an amazing drummer, and it was an eye opener. He was a massive Chargers fan, so to him right now, Chargers games are pretty much what he's hanging on to, and but that documentary, boy, it tells a pretty heavy story that
Yeah,
we should all be grateful.
yeah, I was fortunate enough to actually get to meet Steve on the sidelines.
Wow.
One of those great moments with Schecter is that after Katrina, we were able to start making guitars that we would send to the team, and they would autograph them and auction them for Katrina charities. And we did it for a bunch of years, and I would always get one back. That's one thing. I go in my office and I walk in, and this Saints guitar is completely on the wall, all
Wow.
signed by the team. But
Amazing.
when I would go down there, I would get to go on the sideline before the game, and I got to meet Steve Gleason.
Wow.
Just, he's in his wheelchair, but
Yeah.
able to talk through the little device, and
Yeah.
very sweet guy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Man, but what a hero, dude. I mean, that kind of resilience and kind of represented really what Darlings was all about. So
Yeah, I don't think you could have written a better script.
yeah.
They have that first game back in New Orleans, the hated Falcons. That was with Michael Vick after the whole
Right.
dog incident.
Right.
And yeah,
God. Yeah, but he was voted MVP after that,
yeah,
for that game, that Super Bowl against the Colts, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Ah, man, buddy. Well, I hope that we get to face you guys in the NFC Championship. That'd be awesome. Saints and Seahawks. It's a long shot, but it'd be fun
yeah,
too.
for both. But hey,
Yeah.
at least it could be fun.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
year you got one of the oldest coaches, and I think we
We
got one.
did. Not anymore. Now he's a Raider. Now we got
That's
Mike.
right. That's where he went.
We got Mike McDonald actually from the
Okay,
Ravens. So
that's
now we
right.
have the youngest coach now.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll do okay with the Raiders.
Well,
Not a Raiders fan, but
I'm not either, man. Like it's tough. I did like Pete a lot, and they got DK Metcalf too, so Pete got his big wet out, and we'll see. But
now some of the people that were watching this for guitars and music are going,
yeah,
what
yeah,
are they talking about now?
yeah, that's okay though, man. That's what makes this it's all fun. I love that Pondo and I can still watch NFL. He's a Chargers fan too, so we'll
right.
We have our Sundays together. Listen, guys, if you came here late, go back to the beginning. MC here has a really amazing story, a journey from his early days in rock and roll stardom and aspirations of rock and roll stardom to move out to Cali and eventually becoming the president of Schecter Guitars, and also this incredible project of Beauty and Chaos with the most incredible all stars and should be and soon to be all stars, being part of the project. Check out beautyandchaosmusic.com and make sure that you pick up a Schecter guitar. Reach out to Five Star Guitars in Beaverton because they sponsored the show, and hopefully I'm going to put that back here again. If you guys didn't know and you want to play guitar, go to that link below. If you check out outside of Oregon, there's no sales tax, so you pay no sales tax, and you can save 15% by using the promo code of All Access 15. Or I'm sorry, All Access Live. And if you didn't know, subscribe to the channel. I would love it if you guys go back through and look at an amazing assortment of not just guitarists and visionaries, but also wonderful musicians and actors and authors and athletes as well. So I had Tony Mandrich on the show not too long ago.
Wow.
Man. That was a lot of fun. So Michael Ciravolo, we didn't even talk about Italian, man. Is your family Italian?
My father, yeah, my
Okay.
grandfather came over on a boat.
Wow, right on.
Went through Ellis Island, the whole American dream.
Amazing, man. Well, I'm dating an Italian in Vancouver, BC right now, and enjoying amazing espresso every morning that I'm up there, and learning a lot about Italian cooking, man. And it's been really difficult to keep the weight off. I gotta say.
Don't disrespect her.
Buddy.
Italian William will not take shit.
I'm very well aware. I am. Man, hey, do me a favor and then hug Tish for me. I miss
sure
you guys and your daughters, man. Thank you for sharing your family story too. Guys, this has just been fun. Come back here Wednesday. Annabella from Bow Wow Wow will be here at 5 o'clock Pacific. And Rain Maida and Chantal Kraviak, his wife. Rain is known for the singer from Our Lady Peace, but he and his wife they have a really cool podcast project together. So lots of fun guests, but nobody more exciting than Mr. Michael Ciravolo. So MC,
Thank you, it's been great doing this, and you're doing a good thing here.
Thank you, bro. It's fun to get to hang with people like you, man.
Same here, my friend.
All right, guys, take care. Be good humans. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.